Muchas son las personas que requieren ayuda. Mientras en estas fechas todos celebramos bajo el techo de nuestros hogares, existen otros menos afortunados que carecen de los recursos para traer un plato a su mesa. El fundador de nuestra revista, José Ramiro Cepeda, y su esposa Jessica Baez Cepeda acudieron a un llamado muy especial, a The Union Rescue Mission, para ver de qué manera podrían poner su granito de arena. Quédate con nosotros hasta el final de este video y entérate cómo puedes ayudar. Ahí platicaron con Andy Bells, el CEO de The Union Rescue Mission, quien nos dice qué es este lugar.
So Union Rescue Mission is the oldest rescue mission in Los Angeles. It's the largest rescue mission in the United States. We're the only rescue mission that welcomes single men, single women, moms with kids, dads with kids, and two-parent families with kids. In fact, we never turn away a woman who comes to our front door, and we never turn away a family with children. How could we, with all the dangers that are out there on the streets? And we've been doing this as of December 4th will be 128 years. We started off as a gospel wagon going out on the streets to help unemployed men stuck in alcoholism, but we've grown into Union Rescue Mission today. We also have transitional housing for women and children out in the Sylmar area, Hope Gardens Family Center, permanent supportive housing for senior ladies, and we're going to open up soon 120 beds for single ladies, and we have a satellite. We're going to break ground on a satellite in South LA for 86 families. So we're growing and trying to meet the tremendous need.
How do you do it? How do you manage to provide for so many people?
So a lot of donations, private. We're funded completely by private donors and foundations and corporations. We get food donations. I kiddingly say that Porto's Bakery, one of the best bakeries in town, gives us $1.6 million of pastries per year that we share with our guests. We work with the food bank and Starbucks to get $1.9 million of food donated by Starbucks. In fact, they gave us 2 refrigerated trucks, and we have drivers who get half their salaries paid by that program to go out and pick up from 80 Starbucks stores every night. And we purchase a lot of food to prepare for our guests. And we have 4 meal times every meal time. So 4 serving times every meal time, a total of 12 serving times. And we get up 4 in the morning and get the kitchen ready, and it goes strong until about cleanup time ends at about 8 to 9 p.m.
About how many homeless people do you help a year?
And well, a year, close to 7,000, maybe 7,000 or 8,000. But every day we have 1,350 to 1,500 people under our collective roofs, I guess you would say.
Perfect. And how did it started, or why did the homeless started setting in Skid Row? How?
Yeah, so it's been over 100 years, and Skid Row was named after Seattle's Skid Row, where they used to skid logs down a mountain into the ocean, into the bay, where they would then send them down to be cut up. But it went through the toughest part of town. So when they called that area Skid Row, they would then say people are hitting the skids, or, you know, and that passed from Seattle to every city. There's always been an area where all the most of the poor people gather. But LA, Los Angeles Skid Row is unique because it was designed to be the place where we take people who are struggling. Every city around LA used to send even buses of people struggling with homelessness to get them out of their neighborhood. LA Sheriff's Department deputies used to pick people up in outlying neighborhoods and bring them to the streets of Skid Row. It was kind of a corralling and containment practice or theory that let's put everybody who's troubled in this one area and then turn a blind eye toward them. And so this was actually I call it the worst man-made disaster in the United States because it was planned. And now it's so hard because when we want to do services in outlying areas, everyone says, not in my backyard, NIMBY. And the folks on Skid Row, still the worst man-made disaster in the U.S., are kind of in the twilight zone. They're stuck because of this original policy of corralling and containment, and now the policy of not in my backyard. But Skid Row really, I mean, homelessness is such an extent. Skid Row has really broken out all over. Encampments have broken all over because skyrocketing rents and other issues have led to skyrocketing homelessness.
Would you say that it's a myth that those living in Skid Row are mental ill? Is it they're also family or people that are just struggling financially?
Well, it's all kinds of people, but the longer you leave someone on the streets, the more mentally impacted and drug addicted they become. Because how in the world would you survive in your right mind out on those streets for any length of days? That's exactly what I was giving in an interview with NBC. How much does leaving someone on the streets affect them mentally, right? And all at once I got attacked by a gang leader, right? And afterwards I said, that exactly is the reason why you can't stay mentally healthy. Living in that kind of fear, having to pay that guy, a little lady who has to pay her whole Social Security check to that guy in order to have a place to live in this tent, to rent space for her tent. How do you live in that violent atmosphere without being mentally impacted? So, and then it was a troubled man mentally from being left on the streets who came to our aid by coming out of a tent and knocking the gang leader out, right? I mean, we saw the illustration of what I was trying to explain right then. He apologized for having such a short trigger.
Is there a story? You've been involved for almost 20 years with this nonprofit? 33
years with this work, but 15 years here.
Perfect. Is there an impacting story? Well, I believe there's a lot, but one that really stuck to you and it's what has kept you here?
Oh, many. First of all, 25% of the people working here were once guests. So I get to walk alongside Walking Miracles and work alongside Walking Miracles every day. Let me just tell you Alexandra's story. When I first came here, Alexandra, whom you met, who's our Spanish-speaking correspondent, I guess you could say, she joined our Ready for Work program right out of prison as I arrived here. And she was a mom who had become addicted to crack cocaine, and she was shoplifting and in order to afford her habit, and she went to jail away from her kids for 1 year and was separated from her kids. And during that time in jail, she decided, I want to change my life. So she walked into our doors, started through the Ready for Work program, and then became a janitor, a custodian. And she's had about every job available in our mission. And now she's our manager of events and our Spanish-speaking PR, public relations person. And she's gotten married. She has 6 kids. She's a wonderful mom. She's going to school. And her life is transformed. And that's really why we do what we do. I'll get a call from a mom. One mom was living in a hotel. Her time was up. She went out to move into her car with her little babies. Her car had been repossessed. Oh, okay. So she called me, and I went with my truck and picked her up. And then she said, my boys are in Lancaster, can we go pick them up too? So we went to Lancaster, picked her up, brought them all the way to the Union Rescue Mission. She got here. She was a hard-working mom, working many jobs. Her name's Maritza. Well, she went from Union Rescue Mission to our Hope Gardens Family Center. She, because she had been a child of foster care, she was able to get housing. She now has, to speed up the story, she now has a job at Disneyland. She has a second job, and she's going to Cal State Northridge in criminology. But she's just a very hard-working, go-getting young lady. and her kids are my best buddies.
Beautiful stories, and now it's really important to tell people who's the CEO of this wonderful organization. You have a really interesting and fascinating story, inspiring. Tell us a little bit about you, and we would like to, when I was reading your biography, I was like, wait a minute, if I would have been him, I would just stop helping people. But can you tell us a little bit
Sure.
about what happened?
Yeah, I'm looking real quick. Oh, that picture right there, can I show that? So my dad experienced homelessness from 4 to 17. His family would jump a freight car and move to California and to, go where the grass is greener, but it wasn't necessarily greener. And they would live in a garage in Compton or a tent in Azusa Canyon. And so every child I see my dad, and I see that they could become great like my own dad did. But also, I spoke years ago about how important it is to feed hungry people. And then when I had a chance to feed a hungry person 33 years ago, I turned it down, and I realized that I wasn't practicing what I preached. And I prayed that I would begin to practice what I preached. And I was able to help a man 33 years ago. And I've just been trying to practice what I preached ever since. And I think the tough times you're talking about is, first of all, I had kidney and heart failure at the same time, but I had to raise a bunch of money one year, and I raised it, but then I had a heart attack. So I had a quadruple bypass. Then my kidneys failed. Then my wife stepped forward and gave me a kidney, and I was able to keep working. Even when I was on dialysis for my kidney, I used to take time, Christy understands, I used to take time to write my donor receipts while I was going through dialysis. But then I got an infection in my leg, and I lost my right leg from what's out on the streets. Human waste, left 2,800 people trying to share 9 toilets, human waste on the sidewalks, and I got an infection, flesh-eating disease, and lost my leg. But I guess I can say that I can't quit doing what I do. I'm haunted by homelessness. I'm haunted by the thought of a precious human being trying to survive on the streets. I'm haunted by one woman tonight trying to dress up like a man to avoid being assaulted, and yet multiply that times 15,000, and that's what's happening on our streets. So I don't think I really have a choice. I can't not do what I do.
Wow, this is really impressive, and I'm pretty sure that now it's a time to, well, all year round it's a time to tell those kinds of stories, but now that we're going through Thanksgiving, it's really important that we share these type of stories.
Yes, it's a great time to help, and help all year.
Yes, for those people, maybe for an average person that would like to contribute, how can we do it?
Go right to urm.org and make a gift of any amount. And you can also call us at 213-347-6300, or better yet, come to Union Rescue Mission for a visit like you've done today. We're at 545 South San Pedro Street in Los Angeles, and we'd love to have you come and take a tour and see what's happening here, or get involved as a volunteer.
Actualmente hay muchas vidas y muchas historias allá afuera. Historias que siguen esperando el milagro de la ayuda. Hoy, tú puedes ser una bendición para esas personas. Apoya a la misión.